This conference will now be recorded.
I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's Monday, August 21st, 2023, Bladen County Board of Commissioners meeting. This time I will ask Reverend Adam Self, Red Baptist Church, to provide our invocation, and then ask County Manager Greg Norton.
God, we thank you for the opportunity to just come before you. Remember who you are and where we are standing before you. You will always be above us, watching over us, guiding us, protecting us, drawing us closer to you every day. Help us to remember in our thoughts, our words, and actions that we are representations of you throughout every aspect of our life. That we may apply that in your wisdom, not ours, but your wisdom to every decision, every action, and every word we speak. That we represent you of all things. Your Son Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, before we read the agenda, consider removing item 6A, the position classification request. We can remove that. 6A. And consider amending item 10E to consider authorizing submittal of affordable housing development program grant applications for top priority $10 million grant request to develop homes for sale in Bladensburg community and in the Elizabethtown community, or a contingency site in Bladen County, and support $2 million grant request for Duncan Estates LLC rental units in East Arcadia.
Change it.
By Mr. Red, second by Mr. Cogdell. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Individual delegations wishing to address commissioners. Matters of interest to commissioners.
Something, Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So question, I guess, is we move forward, ARPA money that we've been granting. You know, last meeting we were admonished kind of to trust, and I do. Ronald Reagan made famous a quote, trust but verify. So my question, I guess, is as we move forward and continue to grant money, ARPA requests, what verification, will there be for us? So that I feel like last meeting we really didn't have a lot of information, and we don't want to be critical or overly questioning, but at the same time we need to know what we're doing. And secondly, is there at this point any accountability? Some of the folks that I've, given money to are asking me, do I still need to be sending in, pictures and updates? Is that important?
Yeah.
And so the money that we've granted, there's going to continually be that accountability.
Mm-hmm. Can you give us an update, Mr. Moore?
Yes, sir. The accountability piece is provided in the annual reports. Mm-hmm. So it should be consistent with the purpose that the funds were provided by the county board of commissioners to the various organizations. Mm-hmm.
And is there any recourse if that isn't?
I need to look at the document again, but I would think it needed to be pursued by the county if there was some agreement.
We'd be hard pressed to go after nonprofits and say we want that money back, especially if they don't have it. I just think we need to be very careful as we move forward, just to be good stewards.
One thing on that same topic, okay. I thought when we moved the money and transitioned it to ARPA funds over, I asked a question about the longevity of it, how it's to be handled. Is there any stipulations on how long it takes for that person to dispose of that money, to really use it? That's one question that they asked me. I said, well, you spend it long as you show justification. If it ever become a question as to how you spending your money. That's what I was thinking. I didn't know what it was the time.
Originally, if it was true ARPA funds, then it was 2026.
Right.
However, we know that we have kind of modified our funds, so there's really not quite the hard deadline that, from the federal government at least, that there otherwise was. Right. What we've asked for is a county.
It's an annual report, but there's no limitation on end date on that.
I need to double. I haven't looked at the agreement.
All our resident states in 1 year of the receiving funds that have provided report.
Mm-hmm. Next 10 years, next 10 years.
Annually, have to give a report.
Annually, you have to have it.
Yes, sir.
You know, we really screwed up on this. We should have had more accountability in place. We should have, looked at it better. We've potentially just thrown money out there in holes, and we shouldn't have done that. So we as commissioners should be held accountable for who we give that money to and it not being used wisely or being able to complete projects. We screwed up on that.
All I want to say, I think that the county manager and Ms. Coleman have gone through certain types of training. They have questions that they question these organizations. So they're the ones really in charge of approving the rules and regulations that the organizations are meeting the standards and everything. They've gone through training. I think they have online and things like that. So if they bring it to us, they've already looked at it themselves through the regulations to see if the organization qualifies. So we need to trust them. They've gone through the training.
And Mr. Chair,
Phone call.
my only comment would be also, if we, each individual commissioner is aware of who we are putting this fund for, we too have to do diligence to ensure that it is viable and organizations that meet the requirements. I agree with you saying, but because some of you are not aware of some of these organizations that we know they've been doing for years, but then the requirement says that you have to have a nonprofit, but they've been there working actively. So we understand though, like when I said money, if any of us decide we want to go to this project, we need to do diligence to make sure there's not one just steps up overnight just to get the money. So I agree with you on that.
And the only thing, after our last meeting, I started getting phone calls accusing, and, you know, I voted against it because I didn't feel like we had enough information. It wasn't anything directly to anybody. But folks were calling and saying, I think what y'all did was illegal. It was unethical at the very least and possibly illegal. And I didn't have an answer for them because, again, when we met, I don't think everything was put on the table. I think there should have been clarity, and I respect, you know, Mr. Boyd very much, the whole community does. But I feel like there were things that were not put on the table. If I came in here and said, I request $10,000 for X, Y, and Z, and then later that night you found out X, Y, and Z happened to be my church or my family or whatever, I think it would have been better off to have presented that ahead of, you know, to us and say, here's the deal. It's legitimate, and I think that's fine, but I just think we needed all of the information for us so that it didn't look, you know, unethical.
And I just want to publicly state, I had made up my mind. First off, I want to say, I don't think it's Leafing and Mr. Martin's job to vet. They're not vetting organizations before they come here to us. That's not, am I correct? Y'all are not going through a vetting process as far as we checked them out, we've gone and done this, we've gone and done that.
We're trying to ensure that they have their nonprofit status.
Well, we need to do.
But I can publicly state there, I never wanted to, when ARPA funds came about, and I'm just saying this for all the others, everybody knows my position about it. I did not want to support anything that all of a sudden it was incorporated in this month, and then the next month they're wanting, and I apologize that maybe I don't know the history of all this type of stuff, but that was just one of my rules. I think that's a red flag. That, you know, whether it was municipalities or whether the county or whatever, you know. So.
I'm saying, Mr. The legalities, we're saying something illegal or legal. The legalities of the statute stipulates how you govern these nonprofits. If it's something that's in there that's illegal, you violate statute. So if it's formulated where that legality is in line with the requirements to sit down by the guidelines for that organization, it's not illegal no matter who's on it, as long as it's represented the way legally it says it's supposed to be represented. That's the legal piece of it. That's the reason why when she told us how to do certain things, and we talked with people about it, that was something that we stressed to them, was the legality of them formulating that organization. You just can't come up and bring a 501(c) in here just because it's something you want to do. You have to follow the legal guidelines to formulate a 501(c).
And I totally agree. Again, the call I got, and it was soon after our meeting ended, said, were you aware that the 501c3 was registered to a commissioner's family? The home address of one of our commissioners was the filing address of the 501c3. And I'm going, you know, and that makes you look, again, I think if we'd have come into the meeting and just said, here it is, and here's who the registered agent with the Secretary of State is, it's this address and everything is out there, I would have supported it. I would have, I mean, but I think not knowing all of that, and so it looks like we've done something to personally benefit one of the commissioners. I don't think that's the case, but I think it looks like that to the community. I just think as we move forward, I would just ask let us know if there's anything like that in the presentations. I will do that. I mean, when I presented about the ramps, I said, I pastor a Baptist church. I'm asking for $10,000 to build ramps based on the Baptist, you know, the whole deal. I was very open about that. So you couldn't come back and go, wait a minute, that guy got some money for his buddy to build ramps, you know? Doesn't make sense. Just think we need all the information before us, just for our own integrity in the community.
And can I say, I want to comment, because we know that same organization's been doing the Martin Luther King parade, how many years?
35.
35 years. So all of that's in that same, all that organization. So we knew these things they were doing. I didn't think it was necessary. It was there. The answers are there. Legally, the 501c was there, but they had to incorporate it in order to meet all the requirements for the ARPA money. That was all it was. But they've been doing it. Everybody's aware of all that. So I didn't think it was necessary.
Mr. Chair, I understand and I appreciate the board's, we all have mutual understanding and agreement that we want to spend these funds in a responsible manner. There's no doubt about that. I just want to remind you, you all did approve the agreement between the nonprofit organizations and the county prior to approving any one particular appropriation.
That's correct.
And also, I just want to remind you all, and I know we went through a lot of information with you all. I know that's a good time in the past now. It was early last, I guess, in 2022. But I also just want to remind you that we also reviewed the information regarding the relatively new state statute that pertains to appropriations from the Board of Commissioners to nonprofits. If you have any type of conflict or whatever, just remind you all that was changed like a year or two ago by the General Assembly as well. So we tried to review all that stuff. I know that's a good bit in the rearview mirror now. If we need to revisit that, we certainly.
Mr. Esmond, one last comment.
Yes.
You know, I thought we talked about accountability when we give this money out. Like if whoever we give it to it was supposed to put something back in service. And I don't know where we missed that or I misunderstood it, and I'll take full responsibility for me not making sure it was in there. But there ain't nothing like that in there. I thought we talked about that.
We did. Whenever
we went and visited these places and we said, well, we can get this place up and running for X number of dollars.
X number of time.
Yeah, and it's not in final documentation. So there's any accountability. I got one more thing.
Yes, sir. This is the last answer. When you take and go to the governmental association, to the instant government, those guys, they give you the legalities of how you as a commissioner is supposed to govern yourself in the appropriation of funds, contracts, and all of that. It's not something new. It's happening. It's not a new discussion. So for something to be illegal, as long as you follow the guidelines, that's what the attorney has to come in there and deal with the guidelines. You can't go in there because he knows somebody. You have to follow the guidelines that the law stipulates. And that's what everybody was trying to do. I think that's what Greg done came and proposed to us, that you have to follow those guidelines in order for someone to acquire any kind of funds that was regulated so it would be a conflict of interest. That's in ethics training. They teach us that every time you go to ethics training, how to handle and govern money and what you should not be involved with.
I would ask that you pass out to all the commissioners that letter that the auditor requires us to sign and fill out every year. Just bring that back to us. Okay. Mr. Hester.
Yes, sir.
I want to bring up another topic. I want to talk about advisory boards real quick. I was going to talk about it probably need to do it here versus down where I'm doing. But, you know, we really need to put some guidelines in there, and we really need to put some, absentee things in there, because we've got advisory boards that can't meet because people aren't showing up. And if it's all right with the chairman and the commissioners, I would ask that, Ms. Barton, you put us a policy together, and we're gonna hold our department heads accountable for, to report to us, send us a little short documentation after every meeting, who attended, who didn't attend, and keep attendance. Because if we're not gonna, if we can't have our meetings with these advisory boards, we might as well, disband all of them.
Mr. Chairman, you're right, and I thought they were doing that for a while, and then all of a sudden, they were pick and choose, pick and choose.
It used to be that way.
Yeah, and let's pick and choose, and some people would turn them in, and others would not, so I agree.
But didn't we eliminate, when we got into this, a discussion a while back, Ms. Stevens, didn't we take away the virtual piece of it? When we were saying they could join virtually, did we not, or did we vote that they could not?
No, we did not. We left it up to the department heads to decide if their advisory board wanted to do that or not.
Okay, I just want to know if that option still to take up.
Yes, sir. That generally, my understanding was not to the department head, to the respective advisory board. That's right.
Well,
I just want to know if that option still.
the department heads, don't they lead the advisory
Well, I mean,
board?
the advisory board members would vote on it. But I was-
Okay, I remember they were saying something
Yeah,
about
but
that.
the directors are the liaison on it.
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm on the BART board, and we hadn't met in four meetings, not because we didn't have a quorum. Yeah. But then they're talking about combining that with another, I think it's the other one.
Probably agent divide.
I think it's a business agent, I think it's combined. And they're talking about combining.
All at one time.
Right. And what they'll do, one month, BART will be first, and then next month, that organization will be first, BART will be second, and rotate.
Any other matters of interest? All right, then we have Ms. Renee Davis, our tax administrator.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Three items, and the first one is, to consider accepting the unpaid tax report and annual settlement for the years 2013 through 2022. And you should have that in your packet.
Motion to approve, Mr. Peterson, second by Mr. Gillespie. Any discussion? All in, yes,
I have a question. So, this is just the first part, right? So how do we, when do we talk about collection of money that we have? Is that the next?
This is the uncollected, that report for the years of 2013 through 22. So what this does is to take the last year, that 10th year, we have to take it completely out. Because of the.
Okay.
So are we foreclosing on these ones that you're taking on?
There's no real that's out there that's 2012. No. And I should have brought last year's, but this is so much better than it was last year.
Yes, sir. That's what I wanted to take an opportunity to just commend Ms. Davis and the tax office staff members for the outstanding job they've done. And not only collecting a higher percentage of current year taxes this past year, but also the outstanding job they've done in collecting prior year taxes, as she referred to. There was a significant increase relative to recent years.
I want to just, that's all my staff, but I couldn't do it without them, so, yeah.
Any other questions, discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
C is to consider adopting a charge to collect the 2023 taxes that we just.
Motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Gillespie, second by Mr. Cogdell. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Okay, C, we have a taxpayer, Mrs. Steele, she's not with us this evening. She's requesting a waiver of solid waste and landfill fees for the years 2020 through 2022. The tax bills do not reflect an error, and our office did advise her she needed a payment plan or to apply for the homestead exemption, in which she would, if she would qualify. She did pay for the 2020 through the 2022 on July 14th under an appeal. My recommendation is there will be no waiver. As you know, the solid waste and landfill fees are attached to the tax bills each year per household, especially within the county. You know, your landfill fee, everybody pays. Solid waste fees is everybody pays it that was inside the city limits.
I make a motion to accept the recommendation given by Ms. Tiffany Street.
Second.
Motion to deny the waiver request by Mr. Cogdill, second by Dr. Moon-Golden. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you so much, ma'am. Next up, Ms. Lisa Coleman, our finance officer.
Evening to each of you. I'd like to review the 1 month ending July 31st, 2023. Before I even begin, I will say that we have been collecting money. However, it's been mostly for last year, so it doesn't reflect on this report. It'll be shown as June 30th. So with the revenue versus gross on budget, for general fund, we have 1.42% collected, and we've spent 6.28%. Solid waste fees, we've collected 1.94% and spent 2.83%. Emergency telephone, we haven't received any revenues yet for that one. It's supposed to come in somewhere on the 20th or 25th, somewhere on that ballpark. So, and we've spent 8.74%. And the water department, we collected 8.68% and spent 1.77%. Any questions on that? And right now on the federal inmate program, for the month of July, we had an average of, and I know Mr. Bullock's going to ask me, so we had 66.75 inmates. So we had 3/4 this time. It's an average. As of this morning, they had 82 federal inmates in the prison.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Advisory board appointments, Carver Creek Fire District Committee.
John Parks in place of Jerry Andrews.
Motion by Mr. Peterson, John Parks, second by Mr. Gillespie. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next we have the Industrial Facilities and Pollution Control Finance Authority.
Reappoint.
A motion by Mr. Peterson to reappoint, second by Mr. Britt. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next we have the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council.
Scott Herrera in place of Marshall Road.
Make a motion. Second.
Got that, Ms. Marie? Motion by Mr. Peterson, that replacement, second by Dr. Moon-Golden. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next, got the Tar Heel Fire Service District Committee.
Mr. Chairman, I want to put D and E together since that's affecting both. I want to, make a motion to disband Tubblemore Fire Department, reappoint Eddie Knight and Daily Council, and add Ben Kane and David Musselwhite. And Ben and David will represent the Tubblemore community.
And who?
Ben Kane, David Musselwhite. D and E.
Got the motion by Mr. Peterson on D and E, got a second by Mr. Britt. Any discussion?
Yeah. So they did go ahead and they had their, up here and all that and decided to go and got the results and everybody's on board.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? September 18th, you see we've got some more advisory board appointments. And we're down to Mr. Greg Martin, our county manager. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to review the calendar with you for the remainder of August or September. Point out that the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Conference will be held in Raleigh Thursday through Saturday. Also on Friday, the 25th, from 8 until 11, there's a free summer concert featuring the Catalinas at Grand League at White Lake. Saturday, the 26th, from 4 until 7, there's a
again, they're having a weekend of that. The Pink Slips will play, and then from 8 until 11, the Cat 5 band. Moving over to September, on Saturday the 2nd, from 8 until 4, the Bladen Veterans Farm Horse have a fundraising day on Hill Street building here in Elizabethtown. County offices are closed on Monday the 4th in observance of the Labor Day holiday. On Tuesday the 5th, there's a prayer service here at 8 a.m. The board meets that evening at 6:30. On Saturday the 9th, from 10 until 2, the Bladenboro Fun Day will take place at the historical building in Bladenboro. Also that day, from 8 until 11 p.m., the free summer concert will be held at Grand Regal, and that features Rigsby Road. On Monday the 11th at 5 p.m., the Health and Services Advisory Board meets. On Tuesday the 12th, for elections meets at their office on Cypress Street. Saturday the 16th, 10 until 6, the 31st Annual Peanut Festival will take place in Dublin. On Monday the 18th, the board meets at 6:30, and then on Saturday the 23rd, from the beginning at 9 o'clock, Elizabethtown's 250th anniversary will take place. Moving on to item B, we wanted to bring to your attention the fact that in regard to the meeting schedule for 2024, particularly in the month of November, the board normally postpones the first meeting of the month if there's an election day on Tuesday, and moves that meeting to the second day of the month. Well, that day is, make sure I'm reading this right. Veterans Day holiday falls on Monday the 11th, so that will be the second, which would require us, I guess, to hold the meeting on Tuesday the 12th. Well, we already have a meeting scheduled again that upcoming Monday on the 18th, so we just wanted to see. I mean, that's a quick turnaround as far as board meetings. I don't know if it'd be better to.
Greg, that's the town election, that don't affect us.
No, that's next, no,
24.
Yeah, we're just trying to get our schedule for.
But Mr. Martin, why don't we just move that Tuesday on this phone?
Well, that's what I'm saying, we're gonna meet again on the 18th. I mean, that's just quick, I mean, we can, but it's just quick turnaround.
I thought we go to the 2nd and 4th when that happens, no? No, because the same effect on the 3rd, that's right.
Same effect.
Yeah, all right.
My suggestion would be either to only meet one time in November, or either meet on the 4th.
On the 18th.
We can always, if there's some urgent matter, we can call a special meeting.
Get that regular meeting.
On the 18th.
So we're gonna do one regular meeting on November. One
18th.
regular meeting in November. What day would that be on?
18th.
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion that we just do one regular meeting in November 2024.
November 18th? November 18th.
Yes.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Bullock, seconded by Mr. McGill. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
That wasn't no, me. Me wasn't me too.
Welcome to be place. Yeah. I got it. A year and 2 months away, you have one meeting.
But he said if it's necessary, we have a call meeting.
All right, moving on to item C. This matter's been tabled to number 2, and it has to do with the 2024 holiday schedule, and a particular, I guess, interest or whatever is the holiday in June, an additional holiday in June for Juneteenth. And the estimated cost, we were requested to obtain the estimated cost. The estimated cost for positions that would need to be backfilled, like positions that have to be filled in personnel, is approximately $13,000.
Mr. Harris, I'll make a motion, we table this thing to budget time next year.
Second.
I have a motion to table by Mr. Peterson, seconded by Mr. McGill. Any discussion?
I got a discussion on that. When we looking at, the reason we initially tabled all this was to look at the consideration of an additional holiday. That was one of the reasons why we tabled it when we first tabled this. And we asked Mr. Martin to bring back that financial report as to how that was gonna reflect. And I think we kind of grew a snag, and he just said in his proposal that was Juneteenth in June. And it was relevant to the Juneteenth thing, and that kind of, everybody kind of went to that holiday. But at the same time, Chairman made a suggestion, I just said, he made a comment about something, that instead of doing this as Juneteenth, that we just give what's considered a holiday. What we call it was a floating holiday. And that floating holiday would just be proposed that a person could use it at any time. And it would just be something that we would be doing. I'm thinking something that's complimentary to our employees, that's some type of compensation that's saying it's a holiday on the county for the good work you do. And let them take that holiday at their given time, anytime they want to. That one day. And it has to be taken within that 1 year. Yeah, you can't carry it over. It's a holiday that's set for that 1 year. And you utilize that holiday for just an extra day. If you want it for your birthday, your child gang, or something you want to do. It's just a holiday. And we asked him to bring the figure back. And when I look at the cost that we're talking about, we're not shutting the government system down. Everything's going to be running. I don't think everybody can walk off and take the same day. And we can look at this from a budgetary standpoint. We'll come in here on any given day at discretion and say we're gonna move $13,000 out of the general fund. And that's not something that is a reoccurring cost. That's a minimum amount. And to me, I think that I don't see why we can't propose that day to give to our employees as some type of compensation for the job that they do well done. For them to have at their benefit, have an extra day. And take off the proposal that it's a Juneteenth holiday. That's what seems to be blowing everything in the wind. There's some specific day that is just a day that we grant any employees at their discretion to use. That's my discussion. I don't know how everybody feel about it, but to me, I think that would be in line to remedy the whole idea about what that day, like which day it's going to be. It's just a day in jump for every employee to take. It's in the system.
Mr. Peterson? You know, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I'm telling you that is a budgetary decision that should be made by this board, and it should be made during the budget process. You know, in the past, where we weren't able to give employees a big pay raise, we give them extra holidays. And that's an initiative that next year when this budget comes up and we need to give a pay raise and we might not be able to give as much as been given, then that's a great opportunity to do this floating holiday. It isn't whether you vote for or against it. That's up to you. But I'm telling you, it's a budgetary thing that should have been brought up when you talk about the budget, not after the budget's approved.
I was just gonna say, we had talked about it earlier, and I think we're all on the same page about giving the floating holiday. It's just a matter of whether we do it here in the middle of August and kind of amend things, or just do it through the natural process of the budget. That was the only thing. I think we're on the same page.
There again, it's about the day, but I'd like Mr. Martin to consider or make a statement on what I'm fixing to direct back at you. If it goes as a floating holiday, that $13,000 changes, because that floating holiday could be for every county employee. That's not $13,000.
Well, the way we're looking at it, only certain positions are required to be back. Like a dispatcher or a EMT, or, you have to have the units operating, people in their places performing their tasks.
Yeah, but every county employee, if it's a floating holiday, can get that day sometime during the year.
Okay, you're exactly right. Let me clarify what we're talking about. We're talking about new money that's not budgeted. So you're right. There's already sunk costs on the staff members, the general staff members being paid for X number of days' work. So you're raising a very good point that I guess we were just asked about new money. So the existing payroll for 1 day's work is already funded
And I'm not saying I'm against it, but I just like.
You're, well,
if
well,
you
this
set
needs to
numbers
be,
there.
this needs to be crystal clear, so I'm glad you're raising it. So what you would be making a decision to do is provide, just like you're all talking about, an extra day that is funded, paid for employees, but they wouldn't be required to work.
That's what I was saying with the $13,000. We come in here and giving out pay rates for $13,000. Because somebody's a salary adjustment, without being a budgetary issue.
It's just all the more reason Charles Ray is probably correct, where it needs to be a budget time issue.
We've done, I'm just saying, we have done expenditures that we have come in here and handled that was exceeded that amount. And it didn't require budgetary move to do it. I'm saying, I know budgetary is one thing, but I don't think we'd be.
I mean, I agree with you. I understand what Mr. Houston is saying, but at the same time, at any day, they come in, certain people will come in this meeting and request someone else get this piece of equipment, somebody get to do this, somebody get to pay for this, someone has to do this. It's pick and choose. You can go back in any meetings and you can see that, where it's funded, and not wait until the budget time, but because justify now that it's because it's needed for this one. And I think this day is needed for all our employees.
Again, let me clarify what I'm saying. I know we're not in a position at times to pay our people like some adjoining counties, and I understand that. I would have no problem considering as an adjustment when, and if it's next year, that's fine, an additional day that we can absorb that financially doesn't really cost us that much to allow a benefit for another holiday. But I stress again, the amount of money needs to be considered. But I have no problem with a day, but I think you're right, it's something we got to discuss, and I enjoy and like our employees, and I want us to do all we can for them, and that's one way we can do it, but it needs to be done appropriately with some understanding and some more thought process.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to table it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right. All in favor of table it, raise your right hand, please. Any opposed? Raise yours. We still need to consider approving the 2024 holiday schedule as well.
Motion to approve 24th schedule as presented.
Motion by Mr. Peterson to approve the 2024 holiday schedule, second by Mr. Freedy. Any discussion on that? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
In favor, who's not in favor of it? All right, Mr. Martin. Thank you. The next matter, item D, is to request your consideration of approving the engagement letter with Michael Vest and Friedrich LLP as a client firm engagement. This is in relation to the affordable housing initiative.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion to approve by Mr. Bullock, second by Mr. Cogdill. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then moving to item E, just to again remind you that's been revised as you all did when you adopted the consent agenda. So we're requesting that you consider authorizing the submittal of affordable housing development program grant applications to. The top priority is for grant application in the amount of $10 million to develop homes for sale in the Bladenboro community and in the Elizabethtown community, or a contingency site in Bladen County. I don't know what site it is.
Motion to approve.
And maybe, Mr. Chairman. And then also to support a $2 million grant request for Duncan Estates LLC rental units in Stargate. So the top priority is the home ownership, and then the second project. Mr. Duncan. Got a motion to approve by Mr. Britt, second by Mr. Cogdill. Any discussion?
I only have one comment.
Yes, sir.
When it comes to
I'm sorry.
contingency, why don't we look at some outline, areas in the county? Are they gonna look at those? You gonna look at those when you say contingency?
That's what the city contingency.
I know it, but I wonder if the contingency, it could be right outside instead of outside. But it's fine. Thank you.
Any further discussion, question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Individual delegation wish to address commissioners?
Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great evening. I wanted to, submit a report of the $5,000 grant that, the commissioners are granted East Arcadia Fire Department from the ARPA funds. Our secretary, Ms. Miller, is passing out, a copy of that, and we're turning in a more detailed copy to, Ms. Coleman with actual copies of the checks and everything that she requested. We do thank y'all for y'all support in the past, and we look forward to your support in the future as we continue now to improve East Arcadia Volunteer Fire Department. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Hall, that money, the commissioner, Mr. Hall, that money was voted on commissioner, but that was part of Mr. Britt's,
Yes. That was the $5,000 that Mr. Britt submitted, and we thank him very much. And again, if there's still any additional funds left that anybody is wishing to,
We gave $15,000 to Parks and Rec. That's what we did. We did $15,000
Well,
to
great.
the Parks and Rec.
Okay.
So,
All right.
so
Sounds great.
I need to get the one to make sure the report in.
Okay, whoever is responsible for Parks and Rec, that won't be me.
No, Pam and Rhonda.
All right.
Thank you.
But, again, we're doing everything we can to improve, fire protection down there in the county. Yeah. Sure.
Tell them what you, sir.
Oh. With this grant here, we bought, G5 communication pagers. They're the ones that's gonna take us beyond the requirements of the state into 2025. We had our, air compressor service, the thing that we use to, fill our SCBA bottles, and just some extra equipment. And this is nothing to do with Bladen County, but we just also had, purchased 11 Viper handhelds that's gonna help us better communicate with Central when we call out, so that they know that we got people responding, and that was granted to us, through a grant through by the state that East Arcadia Volunteer Fire Department applied for. I think we got 11 new handhelds and 8 more Viper pagers. So we're improving step at a time. One of our deficiencies was communication by us just having a few handhelds. Lots of time when we get paged out, they'll be wondering, well, do you have enough people coming? Do you need another page? No, we got people coming, they just weren't able to call. So that's limited. Now, we have, I think, 15 now, handheld that we're able to respond to Bladen Central whenever we call out, and they know that we're on our way. And again, we look forward to working with the county, whatever we can do to help. If there's some ways that the commissioners can assist, we're working hard. We're holding our end in the bargain. And again, I say to the commissioners, thank y'all for giving us a chance to provide protection down there. And again, we're all volunteer. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address commissioners? Matters of interest to concerns? Oh, Mr. Britt.
I have one thing. Mr. Hester, and I probably should have brought it up at that time, but I listened to what everybody said about ARPA funds. And I know Mr. Cameron said he had a call in reference to it. And I need to share that I supported at the last meeting. And I made it clear that I wanted it to be known that I trust the due diligence of the 4 commissioners on their money and their research themselves. I need to appropriately say I've probably had 6 to 8 calls thanking me for support and acknowledging it the way that I did, that I trust and hope, just like I say again, that they did their due diligence before they brought it to the board. And I felt it necessary for me to tell you that. I appreciate it.
Thank
Yes.
Thanks.
Motion adjourned, Ms. Peterson, second by Mr. McNeil. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.